start off with this interview talking about your early life and background. Okay, please state where you were born and raised.
Absolutely. Right here in Robertsdale, was raised right here in Robertsdale. I was born in Foley Hospital. It was South Baldwin Hospital at the time. My parents lived in Robertsdale. My grandparents lived in Robertsdale, and that's where I was raised. So I was raised here, lived here all my life.
Awesome. Well, what early influences shaped your interest in leadership and public service?
So I have my grandfather, Bill Campbell, served as constable for Baldwin County, for North Baldwin, from Summerdale all the way up to Little River, for 32 consecutive years. And I got a hold of one of these little flyers. This is a 1976 flyer whenever he ran. And that was his last year that he did run, but 32 consecutive years he ran. So as he would talk around the dinner table about things, I remember listening and really enjoying what he was talking about all over and what he was doing in the communities while he was out and patrolling. Also, George Purvey Thames is a former mayor for the city of Robertsdale, and he is my family. He's my family. My granddaddy's mother and his grandmother were sisters. So that had a lot to do with me because he was the mayor here, and before that, he was the judge for the city of Robertsdale. And my daddy and Purvey Thames were very close coming up. They worked together a lot. They hunted together here a lot in Robertsdale and outside of. They bird hunted, loved to bird hunt. But knowing that, and his daughters were my age in school, and knowing how that life was for them, just with their father being here in Robertsdale, and as not only judge, but then mayor, and always knowing what my grandfather did, it just gave me inspiration to want to do more things than anybody else had that was between my grandfather and myself in our family.
So public service is in your bloodline, right? It's in your lineage,
yes,
it
ma'am.
Sounds like. Well, did you ever imagine that you would one day serve as mayor of Robertsdale?
So mayor, boy, I tell you, I think whenever you're young and you look at things and you want to do things, when you grow up, whether it's a doctor or an engineer, or you want to be a farmer, because back then, my family were farmers here in Robertsdale. Whatever it is that you want to do, I think you always look up and you want to be more and more. And I had a point in time, again, when George Purvey Thames, whenever I was just a young teenager, whenever he was the mayor here, that was a thought that was definitely in my mind. I knew council was first, but that was definitely in my mind at one point whenever I was young.
Thank you for that. Now let's talk about your path to public office. What motivated you to run for mayor in this season? So
for this season, in 2012, I ran for city council, place 3, and I won the position. I was so excited. I did have 2 oppositions, 2 gentlemen, and knew both of them, and it was a great, clean race. And I did come out as the winner. I was so excited. So I came in November 1st of 2012 as council. So throughout the 3 terms that I have served as council really has inspired me to want to then run for mayor. The actual decision was in 2020, after the election of 2020. I knew that when this term was over from 2020, that I wanted to run for mayor, and that was on my mind and my game plan the whole entire term, and so that's what I did. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit more about what your campaign was like. Certainly. So I had 2 wonderful ladies who helped me with my campaign as far as social media, and that was Natasha Pratt and Brandy Newton, and so they took care of all of that for me. And I had flyers that were made, and I had 2,000 flyers made, and I went from house to house. So the campaign was like very tiring but great exercise for me, of course. But I had 2,000 made, and before that I had paper, just regular paper, not as better quality of paper at the time, that I'd already started going to homes, and then I handed almost all 2,000 out. I only had a couple hundred left when it was over. And so going house to house, I certainly did not make the entire city of Robertsdale on foot, but then I started having my meet and greet sessions, hoping to reach out to more that way. As I saw days we're getting closer to the time of the election for that. You have to consider rain and your bad weather or what have you when you cannot get out, and you don't go out on Sundays or Wednesdays. I didn't anyway. But it was really good. It was boy, you sure got tired, and you did a lot of talking, a lot of visiting, but it was great because not only over 3 terms of council, when you think you might know so much, you learn that there's a whole lot more that you can learn from. And I did whenever I was out meeting and greeting, not only at my home when I had the meet and greets, but at a couple businesses had me as well as a guest to have a meet and greet. But as I walked around that, I learned a lot from that. So the challenge necessarily was I was tired and walking so much and doing so much, talking so much. But in the meantime, throughout that challenge, I learned a whole lot more that I didn't know.
Well, you mentioned opposition. You mentioned briefly mentioned your challenges, but here you are, mayor of Robertsdale, and the first female mayor, mind you. So how did the community respond when you were named mayor of Robertsdale?
It was a very exciting evening. And of course, it couldn't just go real smooth. We did have a runoff. So after the first election was over in August, that evening, of course, we knew there was a runoff. And so I was very thankful to get to at least be in the runoff because there was 4 of us running, 3 gentlemen, and one being the opposition was our leading mayor of 33 years. So I knew that it was an uphill battle from the start, but I was very excited to get to be in the runoff, but then I had another month to wait for the runoff, and so I was steadily still going house to house and having my meet and greets. And but that evening in September at the election, I sat under my little tent at the PZK where the voting election polls were for Robertsdale, and just did what I did there and just talked all day. I was out there. The polls opened at 7. I was out there by 6:15, and I was ready and stayed until I was going to leave by 4:30 and go back home and change my clothes because it's a hot September day, and then September hot. Wanted to change my clothes and then go to my daughter's where we had food and a lot of friends were there, and that's where we were going to wait to hear the results. But I couldn't leave. I just couldn't leave. And I finally, close to 6, left just an hour before the election was over, and I just zoomed on to my daughter's house and sat there and waited. That evening, a lot of friends came. I was overwhelmed with all my friends that came. And along with that, leading up to the hour when 7 was over, it was 7 o'clock, nobody would let me have my phone, because social media and everybody, but my son did go immediately to the PZK where it was a crowded bunch up there, I understood, with the election. A lot of people were there, and to read what was posted on the window, what the totals were. So I knew I was waiting on them, and as everybody was laughing and looking at me or looking sad, they were doing all this on purpose, and I knew they were. They told me they were, so that I wouldn't try to decide, what was happening. And I was just walking in circles, just happy as I could be, excited, and I was ready, either way to be able to, put online or whether TV reporters came or not. I was ready to, with an exciting, and appreciation or, with regrets, but happy for my opponent. I was ready for either speech that it was time to give. So my son had not made it back yet, but Hal drove up from Channel 10, and Debbie Williams pulled in right behind him with Channel 5, and I thought, oh my goodness, it's both of them. So if I have to give the speech that I'm very thankful for everybody, and I'm happy for my opponent, if he won, this is going to be hard because it's 2 of them that's here at one time. But it wasn't. And so Hal walked up and said, well, in that moment, well could be either way. And then he said, congratulations. And I just, I hollered, gave him a big hug, and I was so excited. Everybody hollered. It was exciting. And about that time, my son drove up, so he was there to give me the exciting news, and everybody was happy. He knew then at that point that we all knew, but it was an overwhelming, excitingly night that lasted way into the night. Everybody wanted to stay and enjoy the food that we had and talk, but I was ready. I was so excited.
Well, in that moment, did it hit you that you were being named the first female mayor of Robertsdale?
So the only reason that it did was because the news was on, because at that point it's just excited that I actually won. But that was part of what they continued to talk about. And during the day, they came out to the PZK and spoke under the tent about, and they asked me those questions. Well, what is it going to feel? What do you think it's going to feel like, if you are announced as the mayor, you'll be the first female mayor. So of Robertsdale. So it continued to throughout the day, was talked about. So it did come up that night, so they asked, how do I feel? And overwhelmingly, excitingly, I have to slow myself down. I really let them know how happy I was and how excited I was, how thankful I was, appreciative that I was for this evening.
So when you were named first female mayor of Robertsdale, how did that moment make you feel personally? Oh,
my goodness. It really, there are so many first women that have done so many things, not only in Robertsdale, but throughout our community, the county, it just really made just pride and humility all came out at the same time. Because if you're not humble, things do not happen for you like this if you're not, humble. And the good Lord, if you do not have the good Lord with you and on your tongue day in and day out with that humility, will not good, exciting things happen to you. That's how I feel anyway. So, with all those emotions at one time, that's just how I felt. But I was so thankful, so thankful.
That's awesome. Okay, we're going to lead into leadership and governance. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Well, when you first took office, what were your top priorities?
Top priorities, okay. Well, first of all, the one thing that I really campaigned on was communication and transparency for Robertsdale. We have moved, I feel, far enough along that we needed to have some live coverage in our city hall during both city council meetings in the month and the planning and zoning, the planning commission and the zoning board of adjustments. We needed all four of them to be live. People needed to know. There was a whole lot of talk beforehand whenever decisions were made that, really got out of hand because it went from, word to word to word to word, different people. And things would get out in the community that people were really upset about, that things we might have done as, with myself on council at the time, because they didn't understand. People not only always got to come out to council meetings and hear for themselves. So knowing that some of the other communities around us, cities, have the live footage, that's what I wanted to do. And immediately our first meeting was at the Coliseum, and that was able to be set up for us. And from there on, our next meeting until now, and will continue, we are set up in our city hall for the live coverage with TV screens along the walls for the agenda to be roll on those screens, so people not only know what we're talking about, and as we bring the next agenda item to order, they see it on the screen as well. So people now, and it's on YouTube. Not everybody has a Facebook account, so we've just put it on YouTube, and everybody now can see or hear. Or if they think they heard something, and they can go back and look. It's just a lot more communicative and transparency, and that was the first thing I wanted to do, and I was very gracious to our workers here, with the city to make that happen immediately. Oh goodness, the next thing, top priority, the next thing, because it was a top priority, but we had to get this established for communication and transparency. But in January last year of 2025, City Council voted 4-2 to claim eminent domain on the Baldwin County Cattle and Fairgrounds on 40 acres of it. I was one of the two that voted no, heavily against it, and was the entire time whenever we talked about it in the executive meeting that night during council. That's when we learned that that's the steps that we were going to take, was then. So from then on, I was just sick. Won't even go any more about it, just sick. So all along I knew that the first thing I would do was whatever it was that we could do, because you do have to work with council, and we were going to have a new council no matter what, because myself and another council member ran for mayor, so our seats were automatically going to be new, and then two others chose not to run anymore and retire off. So we had one returning that ran, and he still had to run for election, so there was a possibility, unless our mayor did win, who was current mayor, we would have still had a brand new council, and if someone else got in there, which fortunately I did, I'm in a new position as well. So we definitely were going to have 5 new people, if not, the 6. So Mr. Paul Hollingsworth was returning, so myself and he, but I am the new position. So we did have to go through that and talk to council again. But the very first thing, immediately, we did have mediation. And in that mediation, the mediation lasted almost all day long. And it was a great mediation. Of course, it lasted that long because we didn't break for lunch or anything. It just continued. With both sides, there was different things that each side wanted. And so we continued as the attorneys continued to do their work throughout that mediation. And at the end of that mediation, we came to a happy medium. And I was very thankful. The city gave and they gave, both. And so we came back in the very next council. We went into executive session so our counselor let them know everything that we did. So then I went over everything that I talked about and did. And they said, yes, whatever, we do want to vote to stop this eminent domain. So we came out and we voted it. Of course, at that time, your attorneys still have to sign off on the last signature, make sure that they don't want to change something else. And ours did, and the Baldwin County Cattle and Fairs attorney did as well. And now it's still in it's the last signature just to dissolve the whole thing. But at this point, I have been told that I can go ahead and share this news, and I am so thankful, because that was top. But the communication transparency, by all means, was to happen first, because we needed that for our citizens and our people. And I just want always to know, government, we do not need to overreach and do anything like that. If there is a different circumstance, but a circumstance to go out and whenever there's an argument between the two that to take, not take, not take, we do not need to take. Government does not need to take. Our city we were 6,700 at the census in 2020. It's figured, and you can look online, but it's figured about 600-ish more people over all our subdivisions that have came in since. So at that point, if it's even 7,300 people, that's we're getting large, but that's still very small. I'm so excited that we can still be a township feel here in our city of Robertsdale, but we under no circumstances needed to follow through with that, and I'm very thankful for the council that we got to stop that, and that is stopped. So our Baldwin County Fair, to jump the gun here, will be back at the Coliseum. The Baldwin County Fair is ready to hold all of that. They will have plenty of time to be able to put that together. So I'm excited that I know you will be able to come back and have that wonderful display you always have, and everybody will have the inside accommodations that they feel that we need and that they feel so much more comfortable in. The restrooms, the food, you can go in, sit down. It's going to be, I am so excited about that. That will be in September.
Congratulations. That's a huge success.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, I know you've only been in office, a few months now, maybe 4?
Since November.
Since November. Okay. Well, that's a little more than 4, right? So what are some of the biggest challenges that the city was facing at the time that you came into office?
Always. And this is going to be always. It always was before, is now, that this is going to be a never-ending challenge. However, we have had a lot of work that's transpired since while I was on council through now, and it's all your services for your citizens. And our water and our sewer is always number one, always. But through grants that finally became available several years ago, we were able to land on a $16 million grant, and another additional $500,000 grant for other things, to be able to update so many areas and so many pipes, to put slip sleeves throughout a lot of these pipes downtown, the old downtown area, where the terracotta was just, crumbling or, moving, over time, and the water was coming, just making for terrible areas that had areas that were of huge concern. And, huge concern. That is something that will always be ongoing. It will never come to a dead end, and it'll be a wonderful, day in the city of Robertsdale or anywhere else. However, we've got a large handle now on what we have. We still have areas out there, and we still have areas out there. We'll continue to search for grants, matching grants, whatever it takes to fulfill new areas that are already popping up and will pop up. But I am so thrilled with what our last administration was able to, accompany with these grants that we are still working on today.
Awesome. Well, at the onset of coming into this position, were there any particularly difficult decisions that you had to make, like immediately?
The very first thing that comes to mind with that question is each year, of course, we have a new budget. The city of Robertsdale, all cities, all municipalities, everybody, has the new budget. And ours starts October 1st. And we receive it in August and early September, and then we talk about it and have it during city council and go over things in September, and October 1st we implement it. So as of October, we had our budget for this year. And after I came into office, not long after, in November, like right away, we had a huge area for instance, a huge area of drainage that had to be seen about right away. And we had to dip in the budget where we already had things budgeted. So we just had to move things around to get this taken care of, because it was an area on Wilter Street where the drainage, we just didn't catch it much earlier on, to be able to work with it and seek out grants or what have you. And the water, the way the erosion is happening, the road is going to collapse, or one part of it is going to collapse. So before it's making it to that point and we're finding it, we're having to get it taken care of immediately, right away. So little areas like that. There's been a couple more small things, but that in particular was on the larger scale, that it just had to be fixed, and immediately. It was still safe for everybody to drive on, but it was an accident waiting to happen shorter down the road, and we didn't need to wait for the new budget and to start over with that. That had to happen. So to move things around with the budget, I would say, was one of the difficult things in the beginning, because everything was set and we knew what we had and where we had it. But so with that and other small things that have had to take place to move things around, and so I'm very thankful for our CFO, Lewis Seeley, who handles this for us. And but anyway, and so with all the city workers, we have terrific city employees and city workers. Everybody knows what they're doing and what's happening all in every area of the city. And so knowing, with everybody getting out and knowing that we had to have this sought out and looked into, to have things like that particular case worked on immediately, was what we've done. But so I sure give that to the employees, and I'm very thankful for them. But so of course I was on the decision-making side for that. So that would definitely be what I would say immediately, an answer.
Awesome. Well, Ruthe Campbell.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor of Robertsdale. Describe your leadership style.
Leadership style. Okay, so I'm a very social personality. I have a very social personality. Mm-hmm. And so what I appreciate that I do, I'm very close to the employees. I love to go out to each one's particular area where they're working, whether it's in the field where they're working or whether it's there at Public Works in their office. There's still some little areas to go to, to go and seek and talk with folks. But everybody, as soon as I came on, I had a meeting with every employee at one time, just to go over with them that, I was happy for this day. It was a new day. And that I wanted them to know, and I went over some things, with them. And I have a huge open door policy, and and I let them know that at that time. And so a few of them have came to me to talk to me, and that's what they have mentioned when they have came in, was thank you for this open door policy. So I have a lot of one-on-one with all of our employees. And sometimes by the time I make it back to City Hall, it's, only an hour before the end of the day's over, and I will be with them at 6 a.m. once they start. Once they get started on with the work day. But I appreciate all of our employees so much. But that's I would say, is my style. I'm very personable and love being with the employees and doing with them, seeing what they're doing and how they're doing it, and even here at City Hall as well. But I sure love going out in the field with all the others.
I think that describes you perfectly, because the first time I met you, your personality drew me immediately to you. So I think you're right on with that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Well, how has Robertsdale changed during your tenure? Of course, you've served as council for 3 terms, and now you're mayor. So how has it changed?
Definitely moving forward in population. Okay. Whenever I first came on, we had just a little over 5,000. 5,400, I want to say, and now at this point in time, to easily be at the 7,300 mark. We do have several subdivisions that are underway now, and more that's knocking at the door. We did go into a moratorium for the time being, for a 6-month moratorium, only to get us established to where we could move further and get our policies and several things corrected straight in our policies with all of that area that we entered into a moratorium for 6 months. And throughout that time, we still up to the day, if you came in and if you signed the application and paid that fee as a developer or a contractor, whoever it was that was coming in, at that point, they still got to come in. So we have several that are still in the works. And once this is over, this moratorium is over, we have others that have been knocking at the door and ready. So the growth for Robertsdale has just really spearheaded. So I'm very thankful. We have been able to, as you said, during the whole time that I have been here with the city of Robertsdale, we have got to upgrade our Honeybee Park. We had the Centennial in 2021 was Robertsdale Centennial, but we got to upgrade our Honeybee Park, and it is such a wonderful little park now, and our pavilion there is just great. And then we got to tore down the old public works that had been there forever and ever, and we have a new public works that has been built right off of Highway 90, just past our police station. It is the state-of-the-art public works, and it's great. We're so thrilled about that. So where the old public works was, we're in the midst now of building our amphitheater. So the city of Robertsdale will have an amphitheater. So we're really moving along. We've got a couple things that's still under cap, but are very exciting, especially to me. So it's hard for me to keep quiet, but I have been and I will. But that the city of Robertsdale is looking forward to, in a very short time of span to looking into. That'll be other great things that we're bringing to Robertsdale. But anyway.
Hub City.
Hub City.
Great things are happening in this town of Robertsdale. That's awesome. Well, what role does collaboration with city council, county commissioners, other county officials, and citizens play in your leadership?
Oh boy, so that's huge. That's huge. Okay. A large question with an easy answer: partnership. Partnership. If your wave through your city is the partnerships with your other communities, whether it is other municipalities, it is our county commissioners, and I have a personal relationship with every single one of them through the professional field, and I'm very thankful for that. And our legislators, we're very thankful for them and what they're able to do for us. And over time, we've had a lot of things done due to our legislators. But our county commission, for instance, so they started the new grant cycle throughout Baldwin County, and it's the 30 cube block. The 30 cube block grant, and they are partnering with Robertsdale on an area on 104 where Citizens Bank is. That is Highway 65, Palmer Street throughout Robertsdale. It's Palmer Street, but it is County Road 65 that goes through. And that intersection needs so much of a facelift, and it needs turn lanes. It causes a lot of backup on 104, and then everybody on Palmer or 65 trying to just cross over. It causes a lot of backup there as well. Once our Walmart came in on the south end of town, a lot of folks coming from the east heading this way, or heading towards the east from Silver Hill or the other communities to turn and go the back way to Walmart is how they would go up 65. It just is a huge area where it's a standstill point in time. So we are working with them, and it was they brought all this up and brought it to the county and to the different municipalities. And so when I first came in, right after I first came in, I had the pleasure to get to go up to the county commission and accept it, because now they were ready and we had signed all the papers, everything was done, and so now it was the acceptance day. So I got to go up and accept this grant that was coming to us, and this opportunity. And that was one of the things that I talked about, was that I appreciate our relationship that the city of Robertsdale has with our county commissioners. Without a relationship, you can't stand on your own. And I was just so thankful for our relationship with the county commission, and I told them at that time, it will continue. Our relationship will continue.
I was at that meeting.
That's right, you were.
There.
You were, I remember. I remember now.
Well, look at God. I get to see my girl, my friend, Ruthe Campbell. Well, now we're going to delve more into first female mayor of the city of Robertsdale. So we're going to ask a few more questions about that. I'm sure the public would love to hear your responses. What responsibility do you feel carrying that title, first female mayor?
Boy, so responsibility. So first and foremost, I want to do what any elected official should do, which is to care about my citizens. Our citizens here in Robertsdale care about our employees. If you have within your leadership in your city, your employees, if you have a good relation and the way you work together and how you work together is good, then the city of Robertsdale has a good relation with our citizens. And whether I'm a first woman or not, that is first and foremost for sure. I'm thrilled to be the first woman in this seat. Who would have ever thought this, especially when I was little, coming up and just run around barefooted all over, Robertsdale. But I am so thankful for it. But I hold myself to high regards, due to it. It's a new day, a new role, and the best that I can be is what I want to be.
That's awesome. Community trust is a big thing.
Amen.
And it's very important.
Amen.
Well, do you believe your perspective as a woman influenced your leadership? Or influences your leadership role?
So I think that it does, only because it's just different. You know, women are different and men are different, and so the way we our leadership roles throughout, whether it's our community or whether it's our municipality or if in our personal lives, our church, wherever we are, you know, can make a difference. And you can either be more sour or it can be, you know, just as well or even better in your own fashion and way. So my own personality, as I was talking about earlier, I feel like bringing, you know, what I have to bring to the table is exciting. And as the woman in me, I'm thrilled about it and keep my composure because I get so excited. However, I do feel that. I do feel it does. And I'm so thankful to just give it all, give it my all.
That's awesome. Well, have you seen increased civic engagement with women or young females because of your role?
So let me say, of course, this role in this seat, you know, is new. However, on council, there were other female council members for the city of Robertsdale, but the role for young women in school, you know, older girls in school and in college is really vamping up. And I feel with my place here and the out in the community and in the schools and wherever I go, talking to others, and you know, my presence makes a difference, and you know, what I say makes a difference, and I see that and feel that. And so many of the young girls, especially with some leadership roles at the high school, there's leadership roles. There is at the Central Baldwin Chamber of Commerce, there's junior executive leadership roles where girls are in all of it, and you don't even have to be in those leadership roles to be a fine young lady, young girl that's coming up that would like to do things or be other things. But just as far as the leadership roles that I have been around throughout council, but actually had a great opportunity to have a full day with them this past week with some of them. Yes, I can see it. There is a lot of confidence in their style, in their voice, what they say, knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. I'm so, you know, thankful for our school systems, you know, that we have, that all these girls are in. But the inspiration I know from family and friends that they get as well is what's rounding these young ladies. And I have sure seen it, and I am so thankful to get to be here to maybe, if anything else, you know, give them that thought that I had a long time ago, that I can do anything that I would like to if I just put my mind to it.
And that was my next question. What advice would you give to young women who are considering public service?
Oh boy, who are considering public service.
Yes.
Anybody who would talk to me, and some already have, and I'm grateful for it. I will say just what I have already said. Whatever you want to do is what you would like to do with your life. However, what you do will be what you will be doing in your life. So the decision, whether it's earlier on or midlife, wherever you are in life, whatever you decide to do, each day is a new day. But if you are wanting a career in this, you know, in an atmosphere like this, to start off staying confident, your education, knowledge is power, and you don't have to know everything to, you know, have power. And I don't mean power as in, you know, powerful. Just knowledge means so much. And whether it's what you're wanting to do or not, if you just have knowledge, then you know how to navigate how you would like to go throughout your life to get where you would like to be.
That's awesome. Thinking about your vision and your community, the city of Robertsdale, how do you define success as a mayor?
Oh, boy. So I know I keep going back to the citizens here and there. However, they are number one in the city, number one. And I'm in an office that is paid for by the citizens. My salary is paid for by the citizens, and so the citizens are who, you know, need to be heard, need to be worked with. That's very important. Actually, that word success there's a whole lot you could say about success, but that, in a nutshell, is the relationship that the city has with the citizens, and who has you know, a large say in that, but myself. So success in a city. Again, you know, you could go all over with that, but to narrow it in truly, if you are not in any kind of a relationship with your city, then your citizens in your city are not going to be in a relation with you or the you know, the city hall, and that makes so much right.
That's so true. Mm-hmm. So very true. So what do you hope your legacy will be?
Oh boy! So my legacy. I hope that all the things that I do, that I've done, but that are to come. I hope that they're all good decisions. We never know what each day is going to bring. So I hope that they're all good decisions, and I will study on it, pray on it, work on it, think on it, talk to the employees about what we're doing or how we're doing. I will never just take and be controlling over anything. I've never had that. I've never had that mentality, and I will not do that. Mm-hmm. So. For the outlook and the vision and with myself, whatever I do, may it just be upheld to the best of my ability and the best of what I can do for others. It really is, and that speaks volumes, I think.
It does. It does. Okay, Mayor Campbell, what has public service taught you about people in general?
Very good question. A very good question, because beforehand I was one of those people, and I always talked about or wondered about everybody in public office. So what it's taught me is you have opinions everywhere. You have your opinion. Your city employees might have a different opinion. The citizens might have another opinion, and you don't have that happy medium at points in time. But you have got to work together. You have got to come together, work together, be able to pull things off in the right manner for everyone that's concerned, the best of the ability.
Mayor Campbell, I know that you are a woman of strong faith. Were there moments that strengthened your faith or resilience during your journey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. First of all, you have faith when you wake up in the morning, and you have faith all day long, and you have that faith when you go to bed at night. And if you do, there will be a calmer sense to you throughout the day. Through political races, anything political, actually. I was trying to just name some. There's so many, but political races, and it's what I was in. Not everybody is on the same page as you, and other people might not feel the same that you're thinking that you're doing. And there might be negativity, and then even myself, I could have been negativity. I mean, all of us can be. That's human nature. However, if you'll I have slowed myself down at times when I've kind of got overboard with myself and what I might have thought. But if I will just slow myself down and remember that resilience that the good Lord gives me, I just have to use it. That's all. It's for me to use, and it's there for me to use. And if nobody else can use it for me, so every single day, every single morning, every single night, that was all I did, was just prayed for His strength, His will, and how the outcome will be every day. And so I just don't know what an individual would do if they didn't have faith. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Well, I understand that that's a very trying period. The campaign, going through things, the difficulties, the challenges. Who supported you the most?
Oh boy!
During
okay.
this period.
Oh yes. So my family, by all means. My son and my daughter. My daughter lives here, so she had to hear it every day, and she had to help me get places and do things all the time. And then I have 4 grandchildren, and they are so excited. I actually have they all have a little name tag. I just got little name tags for them that sits out that says all of their names, and they get thrilled when they get to come in for a few minutes if they're passing through and see their little name, here. Maybe that's helping to inspire them one day to want to do something in the public eye. But family, friends, through the campaign, especially on the social media, the 2 ladies I mentioned in the beginning, Natasha Pratt and Brandy Newton, they held that fort up high. And today's day, social media is, where it all is. And I'm not the best little social media buff myself, but buddy, they were, and they stayed on top of things, and I was so thankful. They came out and videoed me throughout points in time where I would like to get throughout the city for what went online on my page, and talked about things in the city and what I'd like to see and what we're doing, just to let folks know different things in that manner. And they all were, it did not matter how, who, what, when, where, how. They were always there, always able to help me. And I never got too tired that I didn't have one of them to pick me up and keep going with me. So definitely those 2 women, especially with social media. But, this community, I had so many in this community that, made me feel that way as well. I was so gracious, but especially my family, my friends, my mother. My father has passed, but my mother, my stepdad, my uncle, other family outside of my children got to come to the inauguration that evening, and my mother held the Bible for me while Judge Bracken was administering the oath. And I have a picture of that, and I just it means so much to me. So Mother got to stand there and hold the Bible while I gave my oath that night as the first mayor for the city of Robertsdale.
I'm just overjoyed for you. I really am.
Thank you.
I'm just thankful to have this opportunity to talk with you about your experience.
I am so thankful that you gave me this call and wanted to pursue this. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So looking ahead, what advice will you give to the next generation of city leaders?
Oh, boy. So it doesn't matter what any of us do in life. You know, you're going to have huge challenges to overcome, whether it's just your job, home, the children, the family, whatever. But in this eye and with this question, as much as folks will say, I would never do that, I would never, but you know what? There's a lot of good in this as well. There's a lot of good that you can do for your area, your constituents, for the community, for your county. Whenever the mayors get together like we do, and I learned that immediately, and I was thrilled for it. You know, when we get together and we collaborate and talk about the different things, there's just so much that you can do, and there is so much good in the bad. And again, it doesn't matter what you do, there's the good and the bad. But this serving the public and the community is great. I would encourage anybody that really had a heart for it or thought they did to pursue something. You know, there's so much that you can do. I would certainly encourage it.
That is a blessing. What do you see as the future of Robertsdale?
Well, absolutely growing, that's for sure, the way it's growing. But, you know, from our Gulf Shores all the way to Loxley, and Loxley is booming, you know, it's just all it's coming together, you know, slowly, but it is. And so definitely Robertsdale is, but what I like and what I hope will always stay is that community township feel that we have. You can go in the grocery store and you know somebody, if not everybody. You can go to, gas your car up and there's somebody on the other side and you're talking, hey, how are you? Or we're all headed to the ball field, or we're going, our kids are going to play, or grandkids, or what have you. You know, that feel that you have in your community means so much. And so I hope Robertsdale always keeps that to an extent. But I do look for, the growth that is coming, and for it to be good growth. If you, work on good growth, smart growth, then you will have good growth. And but definitely, and a few other little things I mentioned earlier that I can't talk about that I'm really excited about will be great for our vision as well.
That is awesome. So if you could summarize your time, I know it's been brief so far, as mayor, in one sentence, what would it be?
Oh boy, it would be, I am very thankful, however humble, and I'm very respectful of my job.
That's awesome. In closing, when future generations watch this interview, 50 years from now, what do you hope they understand about this season in Robertsdale's history?
Oh boy, my hope and prayer is that, especially that far out, looking back at Robertsdale, they will see the foundation that was laid for them and the wonderful community that they are living in, for the townsfolk that are in the city, whatever area it is they're looking at, that they see the foundation of the Robertsdale from 2026 that was laid out for them, and hope they appreciate work that was done for them, and hope that they will want to be a part of, again, public service or whatever they do in the community to continue laying the foundation for our great city of Robertsdale, the hub of Baldwin County.
Well, Mayor Campbell, you have definitely made history, and that is the purpose of these videos, is to preserve our history, Baldwin County story, Robertsdale history, for future generations. And we are so thankful to you for taking time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else that you want to say to future generations?
Future generations, please come and be a part of Robertsdale. Get out and do something for your community, for your city. It will happen if you do that. If you don't, others will come in and do things that you might not, you'd rather see others. And so if you just come out and do things in your community and keep it going, that is my prayer. And I promise you it will continue to be a good city just like it is now, with that foundation to keep laying it for us.